everybody, welcome to this week's Demon Fire. My name's Blue Blazing Demon. This week we're going to talk about a very fascinating topic, as the title says. What can Nintendo learn from the Dolphin emulator and Microsoft? To me, this is a very fascinating prospect, and it's something I've wanted to talk about on this channel for quite a while, right? It's something I've seen and I've preached someplace else. Ask my friends, they've heard me say it before. But something that is really cool is the capabilities of, I guess I'm going to call it like PC-like backwards compatibility on consoles. See, I'm not a big fan of Nintendo's online kind of system that they've come up with. I mean, I like it from a subscription base. I like the whole Nintendo Switch Online where they're going to give us 20 free games for NES. I think it's a little lazy with how low the amount of quantity it is, right? Like an NES emulator is really easy. I mean, I used to have it back in 1999 on my computer. Such a long time ago, right? So an NES emulator is not that complicated. Adding the online features is nice, right? Like Dr. Mario Online is going to be fun to play with my brother when he finally gets it, or play Super Mario Bros. 3 and all that. That's going to be cool, and I can't wait for those kind of things. But overall, I think it's pretty lazy. I'm hoping at some point we're going to get things like GameCube, Wii, N64, and Super Nintendo on there at some point. And when they do, man oh man, I'm hoping they can take some notes from Microsoft and the Dolphin emulator. Now, if we take a look at the stuff that they're doing over in China with the NVIDIA Shield, we see that they are, right? They've built these Wii titles up on the Tegra X1 chip, which is the main GPU on the Switch, and the games look fantastic. They don't run 100% well, but I kind of agree with Digital Foundry's kind of assessment. I think the reason they're not running so well is probably more of Android because of its overhead. Android is pretty heavy on the overhead. It was made for mobile phones. It's made for a bunch of other stuff, right? It's not specifically designed to play games, that one thing, right? So to me, it's got a heavy overhead. Hopefully with the Switch, you can remove some of that overhead and gain some of the CPU and GPU power back and be able to kind of leverage the full 60 FPS that we were seeing. I mean, they're hitting pretty well. It's about 45, 49 over there on the NVIDIA Shield, so we'll see. But it looks like they have taken some things from Microsoft in the Dolphin emulator. Now, when I say those two things, let's start with Microsoft. What I love with Microsoft is that they have gone completely backwards compatible. It's something I want Nintendo to go do more than anything, but I want them to do it well. I like how Microsoft is not only doing backwards compatibility, but they're leveraging the power of the new systems, almost turning what they have into its own platform of that's like a PC. And I want Nintendo to go down the same road. I was really hoping they do it with the Switch and the Virtual Console, but with the Virtual Console now being dead and switching over to the Nintendo Switch Online, we'll see how it ultimately goes that way. But the big things they can learn from Dolphin is the big things, like I said, Microsoft, I want them to do the backwards compatibility and leverage the power of their systems, right? That's something I really want them to do. But Dolphin shows the power of like HD GameCube and Wii games. Now, in this video, I'm going to particularly focus on the Wii games because I think that kind of division of games, or that subsect of games, really demonstrates what HD is like. Kind of more than the GameCube. The GameCube was designed in an era that where 480i and 40p was king. The Wii tried to do the same thing with just more horsepower, but this was also the time in which 720p and 1080p were becoming a thing. And luckily, Nintendo kind of future-proofed some of their games, and I really think the Wii lends itself better to HD than the GameCube games do. Doesn't mean the GameCube games don't resolution up higher pretty well, and the higher geometry, just the geometry count in the Wii games and the art direction that they had in the Wii games really lends itself well to the HD era. Now, during what I'm talking about now, I'm going to kind of show some gameplay footage. This is all personal from me. It's going to come from the Dolphin emulator, and I'm going to kind of try and show and emulate what I'm talking about. So I've got 3 games in mind I want to kind of pitch and explain to you why I want A, the backwards compatibility that Microsoft has, but also the benefits that come from like Dolphin and the ability to increase the resolution, the anisotropic filtering, better texture work, all that. I think they should do that. I think they should leverage that ability to get better frame rate games. Some games that are only run at 30, run them at 60. Do it. Run them at a higher frame rate. Unlike Microsoft where they've locked it, let it run at a higher frame rate if it doesn't break the logic. I also want the higher resolution, and I want anisotropic texture filtering, which really helps because back then that wasn't a big thing. Nowadays it's very common. So I'd love them to leverage it leveraged basically modern tech to be able to do some really cool things with the older games, and I think it really helps. It doesn't really break. It's still the same game, and that's what I kind of want to show, right? I want to show that these games still look the same, they just look better, right? And maybe even with one of the examples, they could look at doing HD texture work, because I'm going to kind of show you that kind of perspective of maybe even going back and remaking some old games. Even if they were to remake them rather than just do like kind of their Nintendo Online thing where they kind of slightly improve. So yeah, this is kind of my pitch to when they finally get to N64, GameCube, and Wii, update them. Update the resolution, make them crisp, make that internal resolution look good. And this is kind of my pitch for that. So, alright, so the very first example I want to talk about is Super Mario Galaxy. It's a perfect example, and it's one of the few that kind of came over on that Tegra X1 Shield. It ran at about 60... I say about 80% of the time with a few certain glitches and weird spots. So I really do think it's more of an Android overhead, because it's not really when something is happening on screen. It's just when something odd, like it seems to hitch randomly, and to me that screams more OS overhead. So, but when we look at the original 480p footage of Super Mario Galaxy today, on a digital screen, it looks kind of bleh. I mean, it's kind of mushy. It's kind of soft. It doesn't look really good. Playing on a CRT looks fantastic. I can vouch for that. On a CRT, it was designed for, right? It looks really good because that 480i, 480p looks good on a CRT. But sadly, not a lot of people have CRTs these days. So this is the image you're going to see if you plug in your Wii into your modern TV. Actually, it'll probably look a little stretched and actually up-resed, and so its conversion's not going to look very good. Kind of how this video will probably look right now. It's being up-resed at least a little bit. So the footage, it's going to look like this. It's a little blurry, it's a little mushy. Now, if we switch over to using 1080p and allowing for a 60 frame rate unlock, right? Just let it, now naturally Super Mario Galaxy is 60 frames, but you just let it run fully utilize my PC's hardware, you can see the image completely becomes way crisper, and it looks way better. The texturing still holds up pretty well. I mean, Super Mario uses some very basic textures. They do it with better art style, and I think that's what really helps Nintendo in the long run with these titles, because they're so heavy on artistic design. Their games scale really well up, right? They really do well as you increase the resolution. And as we see here with Super Mario Galaxy at 1080p, the game looks phenomenal. It looks really crisp and clear. Now, as you can see, some of the artifacts of Dolphin is you can kind of see some of the 2D assets don't scale really well because they're originally 480p. Hey Nintendo, maybe up-res those, turn them into vector files, which for those who don't know, a vector file basically just means, hey, this is a rough size of what it looks like. You know, it just gives a rough dimensions. Go blow that up and scale to this point, and just, you have to retain this. It looks much crisper, much cleaner. It's a much better of rendering 2D graphics, and it's going to help kind of push things forward. I think it's really cool. So to me, Super Mario Galaxy is a really simple example that just shows right off the bat, this is what it looks like to run at 1080p, and I think they should do it on the Switch. That should be one of the first ones they do. It just looks really good. The next one I want to talk about, this one's a little more interesting. This is Xenoblade Chronicles on the Wii. Now, I've been playing this. This is what kind of inspired me to do this video. I've been playing this for about 6 months on and off, trying to get through it. I made the mistake of trying to go for everything. But here we have it in 480p, and it looks really blurry. Like, because of the texture working and the way it was done, it's really blurry. Now, again, on the CRT, it doesn't look too bad. It looks pretty good. But to me, in digital, it's really hard to play this digitally. It's really blurry. And really, you know, it brings you back to a time, right? It really makes 3D graphics look quite old, right? It doesn't age really well. This isn't going to age well. I can already tell you that now. You're going to keep going on. Resolutions are going to keep getting better. And it just doesn't look that good. So, we're going to now switch over to the 1080p footage. And we're going to see it just looks so much better, just naturally, without doing anything else, right? This is 1080p at 30 frames a second. But then, again, where I said you could unlock things, Dolphin allows you to unlock it to 60 frames a second. Look how this game runs with 60 FPS. Looks so good. Now, some of the battles still slow down because of the engine. Dolphin is still trying to emulate it accurately, right? So some of these slowdowns in battle are natural, right? It will still naturally slow down. That was a thing that happened in Xenoblade Chronicles. You kind of need a fast CPU and able to do it at 60 FPS. But it looks really good and really clean. And honestly, this made it just a lot easier for me to play this game. I always tried to get into it on the Wii, but it was very hard. So I've been playing through it like this. But then I decided to get adventurous and went to the mod scene. See, the mod scene has decided to update all the resolutions to, like the texture resolutions, to HD. And this is what Nintendo could do with possibly a Xenoblade Chronicles remake. I'd be totally down if they did this. This looks amazing. I mean, this just looks really clean. Like the other one, 1080p looks crisp. You can still see the textures are very smudgy. But at least, hey, at least it works and it makes the game look a lot better. At least to me, it looks a lot better in that 1080p form. This, though, with the HD texture pack, just, oh, it's amazing. I haven't looked back. I've used this thing. It's really faithful to the original art. It doesn't look much different. Just looks cleaner, right? Makes the textures just look naturally cleaner at 1080p or any higher resolutions. So to me, this is really worthwhile. I'd love to see them take Xenoblade Chronicles, the original, and just up it. I mean, it'd be cool to kind of see all the models and gain extra polygons too and all that kind of stuff. But this is just a taste of what they could do with a remake. I think they could do a lot. Xenoblade Chronicles, I think, is another one, just a good candidate for that, and I'd love to see what they could do with that. So, yeah, that's Xenoblade Chronicles on the Dolphin compared to what it would look like on the Wii. And I have one other game I want to talk about. This one blows my mind, literally, when it comes to like the resolution difference. And to me, where Xenoblade Chronicles X really fixed it, this game went from, oh, this is playable, looks good, to this looks gorgeous and is a masterpiece. To me, this really emphasizes Nintendo's artistic styles to a T. That game is Skyward Sword on the Wii. Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword is a beautiful game in HD. Now, I'm showing it now at 480p. It looks okay. It looks good. I mean, it's still got that smudgy, oily, schmeary stuff that I talk about. This is what happens when you have lower internal resolution, right? You get that 480p. This is what you naturally see. I played it back on a big HD TV back in the day and a CRT. The CRT looked a little better, but honestly, the HD TV didn't look too bad then either, and neither does it now. That that watercolor art style that they did really helped with the 480p. It really didn't clash. It really took Twilight style and kind of artified it, right? And it looked really cool, and it kind of helped with the limited text so they could do bigger models and finer detail everywhere without sacrificing things. But this game is kind of already set up to be in 1080p. When you switch over to that, it's almost a night and day comparison. Skyward Sword in 1080p is gorgeous. This game looks like it was designed and developed for an HD system. This game could really benefit from this. This is one of those where Super Mario Galaxy is a good example of look what they could do with what I think was a Wii game for 480p. Looks good at 1080p, but it still looks like a Wii game. Then you go to Xenoblade Chronicles, which is a third party. Again, you get nice improvement, big improvement. You can even go maybe do a remake with that. Skyward Sword is really showing that, hey, Nintendo was thinking about HD even before they released the Wii U. And really the stuff they probably developed for was for an HD system, right? They probably made it on computers with HD graphics, and probably maybe there's a file somewhere with a prototype with it running like this. This game looks awesome. And to me, I would have rather seen this game get the Twilight Princess just simply just bump up the resolution than Twilight Princess. To me, Twilight Princess, you could have redone a lot of texture work and redone some of the world and all that. So, yeah, these are kind of the three games that I wanted to showcase my argument as to why backwards compatibility is a cool piece of tech, but not only backwards compatibility, but the ability to enhance them, right? They're still the same game. That's still Super Mario Galaxy. That's still Xenoblade Chronicles, and it's still Skyward Sword, right? It still looks like it. It matches more of the image in your head if you think about it back in the day. And I think it's really powerful, and I think it makes a game look really, really good. You can do the same thing with GameCube, and hell, do it with N64. Get rid of that anti-aliasing filter they got on the N64. Go make that look clean. It looked nice. It looked awesome. And I really appreciate it. So, anyways, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys like this kind of idea. I'm really hoping Nintendo does something with this, with their Nintendo Switch Online. I want to see something like this. Take some pages from Microsoft's backwards compatibility, and take some of the features that Dolphin does. That ability to unlock it and run it at 60 FPS. All three of these games is cool, because Xenoblade Chronicles and Skyward Sword are 30, but they look really good at 60. Leverage that power. The Switch is a powerful system. Use it. Can imagine that in handheld. Even if it's just 720p in handheld. Oh, it looks so good because of that screen, right? So, anyways, I digress. That's how it is. So, thank you guys for watching. Please let me know your opinion. Do you want something like this? Do you want them to just keep doing like the virtual console ports where they just tried to keep it the same as when they first made the game, make it all kind of blurry? Though granted, on the Wii U they did up-res them to 720p. Do you want them to do more than what they were doing in the past? For me, yes, but I'd love to hear your opinion and all that down in the comment section below. So anyways, if you guys like this video, please hit that like button. Otherwise, if you're interested in more of my videos, please go check them out, and please hit that subscribe button to see kind of more like this. This is Demon's Fire. Gotta give you little opinion pieces. Go check out the reviews. Go see what I think about games. I am working on one in the future. You'll see it probably up here in the upcoming week and all that kind of stuff. Otherwise, I will see you guys next week on Demon's Fire. See you guys later. Bye-bye.